Welcome to the Know. I'm Ashley Jenkins.
I'm Mica Burton.
Since the Switch was officially unveiled earlier this year, there has been a little bit of concern over the console's hidden costs. Nintendo's upcoming console certainly looks like it can get a little bit pricey once you add all the accessories and the peripherals and the things that you're going to need to get the most out of it.
But now that we've had some time with the system, we've got a decent sense of what is and isn't necessary to have with you on day one. So we thought we'd break down what you were really going to spend on the Switch before it's released next week, so you're welcome.
First, obviously, is $300 for the console itself. Again, that price will vary depending on your actual region, and so will all of these prices, so your mileage may vary, but this should give you an idea. So it's $300 in the US, no surprise there, but what was kind of a surprise back when they first announced it is that there's actually no pack-in game. So you'll need to drop a minimum of $60 for a game. Well, probably a minimum. There are games that cost less than that, but that's the standard AAA price. Because seriously, there is nothing else in the box in terms of stuff to play. There's not a demo disc, nothing.
It feels pretty atypical for a Nintendo system to not include a pack-in game, but it's not unheard of. The NES and the SNES did, the N64 and the GameCube didn't, and then the Wii launched with Wii Sports and Wii U with Nintendo Land.
Now, and if this were a regular console, that's about where the cost would end. You generally already have your headset, you got a TV, you know, the normal shit you need to play your console while sitting on your couch.
But we all know that Switch isn't normal run-of-the-mill console, so one of the main draws of the Switch is its portability. You can definitely play it as a traditional console, but two of its other modes involve the Switch, switching and being undocked.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry.
I wonder how long it's going to take for those puns to get super old.
I mean, they're already old, but will we stop?
No, we won't.
Exactly.
After having spent some time with the console in both portable and console mode, it's kind of hard not to recommend a carrying case. If it were a normal handheld, you just throw it in a bag. That's one of the beauties of the 3DS is the clamshell design. You don't worry about the screen, but when you consider the Joy-Cons, the grips, the cords, the chargers, all that stuff that you need to kind of take with you, be rattling around loose, it becomes a problem. So you probably want to get a carrying case, mainly to help you port everything else besides the screen, but also to protect the screen. And those can run you anywhere from $10 on the low end to $40 on the high end, depending on whether you get just a base case or one that's got additional stuff like a screen cleaner and earbuds, all that.
Another hidden cost, especially if you plan on making the Switch your go-to portable, is around $10 to $12 for a USB-C cable to charge it.
Well, now that just put it over the line.
That's true. $10? Pff, fuck it. You could probably make do without it, but the regular AC adapter won't be something you could plug in on a plane, for instance. Plus, it's got a fairly bulky profile, and it wouldn't travel as well as just, USB-C charging cable and like a little tiny wall port. That's what a wall port is.
Yes, you say, and then also look at that nice, pretty 6 and something inch Switch screen.
So pretty.
It'd be a shame if something bad happened to it. Like, say, for instance, if you dropped it and it got scuffed, or if you used that touchscreen just a little too vigorously, which if you've ever seen a demo unit for a 3DS in a store, you know what that means.
So yeah, you're probably going to need a screen protector just to be on the safe side. You certainly wouldn't want to take your chances if your Xbox One had a screen on the outside of it either, would you?
Nope.
Of course not. So you can grab the official Nintendo screen protector for around $20, but I'm sure knockoffs will come out soon.
That's like a mafia racket. 20 bucks. The Switch also comes with 32 gigabytes of onboard memory. You can only actually use about 26 gigs of that after the system takes its cut, which means that in today's gaming world, you're probably gonna need an SD card if you're gonna do any kind of digital downloads. And that'll range from maybe $20 for a 64 gig card up to $150 for a 256 gigabyte card.
The sweet spot seems to be somewhere around the 40 to 50 range, which will grab you a 128 gigabyte card.
So that's not too bad, but that is significant additional expense.
Oh yeah, but you can shop around, find some deals, see what works for you. So in total, that'll leave you with close to 150 gigabytes for storage, which admittedly isn't a ton, but the Switch games are ranging on the smaller size, so meh.
Yeah, I mean, Breath of the Wild is somewhere around 14 gigs on its own. Mario Kart 8 is something like 8 gigabytes. Snipper Clips is tiny. Comparatively, it's 1.6 gigabytes. Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2, total 32 gigabytes. So that would have taken up more than your storage already. Still, it is interesting to see how that storage holds up over time once you start factoring in DLC, some slightly bigger games than the ones we're seeing at launch. You'll want to get a bigger card rather than a smaller one if you can.
Okay, so let's tally this up so far. You've got the Switch for $300, a game for about $60, a carrying case for around $15, or as high as $40 if you're feeling fancy.
Which I'm sure you are.
Oh,
fancy.
I'm so fancy. $20 for screen protector, $10 for USB-C charger, and $50 for an SD card.
So all told, that's actually closer to $450, give or take around $50 or so, depending on how much you want to blow on cases and SD cards. And then there's tax.
Yay, tax. But guys, we are not here to pass judgment on whether or not that's too expensive. That's really all up to you. Besides, most of us are spending close to that amount on our own Switches. I know I am.
Yeah, I mean,
ouch.
This is kind of like our life though, so for a lot of us, that's the easy justification. For
Yep.
others, the difference of $150, that's a 50% rise in the practical cost of the console. So again, those costs aren't all absolutely necessary. You could get away without a case if you're not planning on taking it anywhere. You could skip the screen protector if you're feeling really brave. Maybe you say, I don't need a USB-C cable because I'm not going to go anywhere with it. Like some of those things might not be on everyone's list, but the others are a little bit more important if you plan on doing any traveling with the system at all.
That's true, which brings us to some other optional accessories that, while unnecessary, definitely would increase the convenience of the Switch, at least based on some of our initial impressions.
Yeah, if more than one person plans on playing the Switch regularly, you're probably gonna want to spring for an extra set of Joy-Cons, and those will run you a whopping $80. That hits where it hurts. It's not critical to have another set, but that's the kind of thing that will allow you to have 4 people playing Bomberman or something like that, a 4-player game, rather than just 2, for instance.
And it's super hard to find right now, but the official Pro controller is another convenient add-on, and that unfortunately runs $70.
Whoa.
Ugh. Based on our time with the system so far, the consensus is that controlling with a regular grip is fine, although some did find parts of it to be too small. Your experience may differ, so you might want something more traditional.
Now, one thing we can pretty confidently say that you're not going to need, that everyone sort of thought they would need, is the Joy-Con charging grip. Since the January event, it's been known that the Joy-Con grip that comes with the system won't actually charge the Joy-Con controllers while they're plugged into it. They can only be charged when they're attached to the Switch itself. Because of that, there's been a lot of concern that you'd also need the Joy-Con charging grip, which would set you back an additional $30.
Fortunately, we can say we don't think it's quite as necessary. While the Joy-Cons run out of power, it's true, they can only be charged by attaching them back to the Switch itself, but all you need to do is pop them back on, switch to portable mode, and the Switch will charge them while you play. So it'll charge the controllers up quickly, you can pop it back in the dock, and then play it like a normal console without interruption.
I tried it and it was actually a pretty seamless, cool experience.
Yeah.
But yes, if you really think switching to handheld mode to charge during long play sessions is a pain, and everyone plays differently, you can get the charging grip, but it's not as much of a day one necessity as people feared.
So that just about wraps it up with all the other costs associated with the Switch that you might not have thought about before it comes out. If you don't plan on making it a part of your on-the-go life, that amount is definitely going to change for some people. So as always, your mileage may vary. And also it's like, if you play Xbox a lot, you may want a Pro controller, you may want a fancy headset, or you just want to play with a basic Xbox. It's how you play.
Now, what do you guys think of all of these additional kind of hidden costs of the Switch? How much have you spent so far if you've ordered one? And what of the stuff we listed do you think you're gonna need? Let us know in the comments.
For more updates on Nintendo's newest hardware, like this video and subscribe to The Know.
Ready?
Switch. Ow, fuck. First, so you might want something more,
God